All right, guys, how's it going? So set champs finally come to a conclusion, and we managed to secure a first place, and actually one more top eight as well. Both of those were playing blue steel, so very kind of off meta pick, but both of we played in 3 tournaments total, so 2 tops out of the 3, and then Keith as well. He ended up getting a first place and then 3 tops. Troy, he got 2 tops, if I'm not mistaken, out of 4 events, or 3 tops out of 4. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He wasn't able to make it to the last one because he was sick. So he only ended up getting to play in 3 events, and I believe he topped 2 of those as well. So we'll have deck lists for everything going up. We've just been kind of busy over the course of the last week. Hadn't really been able to get together and get those videos up, but definitely finally getting a chance to at least get to show the blue steel that got first place, and getting to show off, just some of the stuff that we were able to get. One of the local shops did this trophy, which I thought was pretty damn cool. This thing is, I guess it was 3D printed, and then I don't know if you can order them offline or if the shop may have ordered them from like another vendor, but this was the first place prize, also with the mat, and of course the prize cards. Then they did. They also did a bunch of set prizing as well for Azurite C. So they actually gave away it was a little bit over a box just between top 4. This tournament actually wasn't very big at all. This was down near like South Tennessee. It was only like a little 15-man tournament, if even that. I'd have to go back and actually pull up the melee for how many people were there. I think it couldn't have been more than 15 people, but we cut to top 4. I believe I finished in Swiss. I actually lost round 1. I got destroyed round 1. Round 2, I believe I actually got I got the bye for this event, and then round 3, 4, and we played a 5th round, if I'm not mistaken, just because they were trying to have definitive tiebreakers. I won round 3, 4, and 5. Went into top 4. I ended up winning my top 4 match, and then actually played against Keith in the finals and swept Keith in the finals. So that was pretty fun time all around. It was only me, Keith, and Jeff who were able to go to that event. So we were 3 people out of the 15, and we actually all 3 got top 4. So we came. After all the testing and playing that we've been doing together, it paid off, especially for that event. Got to take over that little town. So good stuff there. I'm about to get ready. We'll show off the deck list, and if anybody has any comments or things that they would like to add. This was definitely an off meta pick. Like I had mentioned before, I did change the deck for all 3 tournaments, or played a different variation at every single event that I went to. Just as you start to fill the meta out, or as the meta would develop, obviously we had Dinka doing his resurgence for Blue Red. That was an incredible performance for the Melbourne DLC. So obviously between that and Amber Steel, as you've been seeing on the channel, we test everything here. We've been playing all the major tier 1 decks, or just every deck that we essentially can get our hands on and we enjoy playing. We try to learn everything just so we can also have a better chance of being able to play against it, and we kind of start to learn the choke points. And so nevertheless, this deck has went over a couple different variations. I'll talk about some of those things as we go through the deck real quick, and thank you. That'll be it. All right, guys, so for the deck list, pretty straightforward. I've been playing this deck for now since set 1 pretty consistently. I know you guys have seen me playing the deck a lot on the channel. I just really enjoy the combo lines, or just the way that the deck interacts. Of course, we played all the other major card games pretty competitively over the past decade or so, and this deck really reminds me of a good combo-oriented Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic deck, and I really enjoyed, the way that the deck interacts with other decks as well. I love the item lines and the ramp. It really feels like you're able to play a completely different variation of Lorcana and really get ahead of your opponents and kind of make the games unfair. And so we always want to be playing the decks that make the games unfair. And so with that being said, we'll go ahead and start it off. So we, of course, played 4 of the 4 and 4 of the small items. So these are just the Hiram interaction pieces. Just nice for consistency. Playing 1 Fire the Cannon, so I was playing 2 of this at over the course of the first, and if I'm not mistaken, the second event, just because Amber Steel was so prominent. But we did end up moving into playing or testing Twin Fire. So Twin Fire was an excellent card. I was originally playing 2 in the first event we went to. Amber Steel was really heavy at that event. I did end up getting top 8, but I actually lost to Emerald Steel in top 8. Unfortunately, he ended up getting second for that event total, but I didn't see either the Fire of the Cannons or Twin Fires in those matches too much, and so that ended up being a huge choke point for the matchup overall. I will say that, you know, throughout more testing and throughout playing in the second set champ, started to realize that, you know, my uninkable count was getting really high. So I decided to cut both of these down to 1 and 1, and then I was still playing additional removal in the package. So you'll see that here very shortly. And with the emergence of the new blue-red list, of course, that kind of changed what style of removal I was going to need as well. So these 2 damage cards weren't all that great, you know. At the end of the day, these don't kill Calhouns, they don't really kill Daisies, so I'm not saying these cards are perfect for everything, but they are nice to have the flexibility in the deck. With that, played Force Me. This card is the best 2-drop in the game, in my opinion, other than Calhoun, possibly. But this just being able to work alongside of the Cogsworth. I did debate on playing John Silver. John Silver's an excellent card that kind of started to emerge here towards the end of set champs as being a very prominent silver card to be able to stop. Whether it be stopping the shark from attacking or just stopping other interactions with purple kind of trade cards. Nevertheless, Mr. Smee, excellent for questing, inkable, and at the end of the day, just a powerhouse at the 2 slot. Played 1 Visions in the tournament, and just to make sure I confirm for you guys, this is the first place list, and I'm just talking about the difference in variations between what I played at the other events. So, only played 1 Visions for this event. I actually really liked Visions as a whole throughout all the events. I played 2 in the first 2 events, and only played 1 in this last one. I really just came down to space. I added a couple cards into this last variation, and, you know, I'll talk about whether or not I feel as if those were, you know, the correct decisions or not, but Visions, excellent card overall. I played 2. I don't think I would go above 2 or 3. I know that the new red-blue list is playing 4, but that's obviously because of some Maui interactions, makes it a little bit better there. Nevertheless, playing for Sail, so Sail has been, of course, it's a clutch at the 2 slot. I like it personally better than Tippo. This deck is, I have tested Tippo in the past in this deck. I don't hate it. I've actually really liked it. But I do think that this giving you or replacing itself as having the draw card is very important to the overall consistency of this deck. Because the #1 thing in this deck is that you're going to run out of resources. But you're going to run out of resources, but you want to be staying on top of your consistency as well. You find yourself in certain situations where, you know, you're relying on one singular Hiram or one singular Whole New World just to be able to get you through an entire game, or you're leaning on that one pivot point to be able to save you in an entire game. And so you want to be playing as many cards that get you to see one more card or the next couple of cards as much as possible within those first few turns. So at the end of the day, Sail became very, it outweighed Tippo in terms of a consistency piece. And at the end of the day, you want the extra card to be able to ink for Fishbone. So Fishbone does exactly what Tippo does, except for it's every single turn. So I did realize that with Tippo, you know, it's a resource game as well. You lose a card from your hand. Sometimes you really can't afford that. And also, it's just better to be able to do it consistently with this and kind of be able to line yourself up to do these interactions every single turn, where you're drawing 2 cards and you're being able to ink one for your normal ink for turn, and then being able to Fishbone and place another one to the ink as well. My 3-drop removal slot was for Smash. So as you've seen so far, we did the 1, 2, 3 package here. I just liked having an option at every single slot. Dealing the 3 damage is truly significant at the end of the day, as opposed to only dealing the 2 damage. And then we played 2 Pete. So Pete was really just a flex card to be able to play. Of course, we all know why Pete's good. Zeus. So we put in, I was only playing 1 Zeus prior at the first 2 tournaments, ended up putting in the second one and almost debated on bumping this up to 3 just because of how prominent the Maui half shark became. Also, the 5 damage is just really it was really solid overall. It is one of the only cards in the entire deck. Since, of course, and just sliding this in there real quick, I do think overall red has the better removal. I think red has by far the better removal, at least lined up against what the meta is looking like currently. But the flexibility of this being able to be a song, it actually turned Hiram into a bit of a tool as well. So just in case you didn't have, the items to be able to draw with them, you could always have him up as just a 4-drop body. He has a huge butt on him, being a 1/6, so he's pretty hard to kill. So you usually have the ability to be able to sing with them live. And that's really just a tempo play, which this deck relies on heavily, making sure that it doesn't fall behind on tempo. Sweep these up for us real quick. So behind that, we played 2 Let It Go at the 5-drop slot. Let It Go is the 4th removal option, or the 5th removal option, I guess, in the deck. This is, once again, this was also based off of Maui Half Shark a little bit, just being able to have something that could get rid of the big threats. There wasn't really any big threats other than Maui Half Shark originally. I wasn't really scared of anything personally. I felt like most of the decks played pretty low to the ground, and we're just worried about decks going wide against you, which of course we always had Grab Your Sword for, which I'll go ahead. So 3 Grab Your Sword, and then 3 Whole New World. So I've never went to, or I've tested 4 of this in the past. I've tested pretty much all of the different count variations on these songs right here. I just recently put this back up to 2, or even just added it back into the deck, period. Let It Go is good because it's inkable at the end of the day, I will say that. I won't go above this 6-card package right here, just because not all of just because they are uninkable. I find myself breaking a lot. I'm sure if you guys have watched the games consistently for where I'm playing Blue Steel, a lot of the games that I lose are strictly because I get into weird hands with having multiple of the uninkable, like the God spells, basically. But nevertheless, you do have to play them, and these are the cards that really win you the games at the end of the day. So one thing that became more prominent for me as the set champs rolled on was being able to sing the God spells. So it was nice that for this last event, I actually tested out 2 of the Pyros. So if you saw from Melbourne, the guy who got top 4 in Melbourne, he was playing 2 Pyros, and I didn't understand why at first. Maybe that was just me not paying enough attention to maybe some stuff that had gotten popular on online testing or online tournaments. But nevertheless, the thing that made Pyros truly broken at the end of the day, of course, yes, you can kill a bunch of small stuff and keep readying him up. That is nice. But it's actually him being able to ready just other characters, period. So if you sing a song with a Cogsworth and you kill something with the Pyros, you can untap the Cogsworth. Maybe you want to sing something else. Or maybe you just want to quest for 10 with an aerial. So I did only play 3 aerial at this event. I've been playing 4 at all the other events. I think 3 is perfectly fine. 4's fine as well at the end of the day. I mean, I think it just depends on how much top heavy, or how top heavy you're really playing the deck at the end of the day. But it is nice being able to have this new line where you go Pyros, kill something, or you quest with the aerial. So you quest for 5 or for 3, Pyros kill something, and then untap the aerial and you can quest again. So I mean that's usually, that puts opponents within a new killing range other than just dime, which is really nice. On top of the 6-drop and 5-drop slots for characters, I did play 3 Tinkerbell. I've been playing 4 of that as well here recently. But so the reason why I dropped down on Chinpo, dropped down on Tinkerbell, wasn't just because of the Pyros. I also decided to play 2 Simba for this event. So Simba, Shift Simba is really good, or it was really good in testing at least. I didn't have to use it too much during the event. I didn't find myself in too many situations where I was feeling threatened by a location, but this was mainly just because McDuck Manor, I felt like it was going to rise in popularity, and then also I really just needed a good way to be able to interact with library. I still felt like that was a pretty prominent one, so just having access to a tool card. I don't like that it's a 6-drop, so I did test Hideaway at the first tournament that I played at, or the first set champ that we played at. Hideaway was okay. I think it's probably the better call overall, but I wanted to have the body alongside of it, especially since I was dropping something like a Tinkerbell. I just had a lot of trouble really finding the space just to be able to fit in some location or item removal, so I wanted to have the body for that. Now, as far as finishers for the game, beyond Aerial, we just played 3 Tamatoa and 2 Dime. So 2 Dime, I don't want to go above 2 Dime on this. Realistically, you just want to see 1 and then one of your main 6 guys, or a couple of them in sequence, and that's usually your finisher right there. So with all that being said, the deck played awesome. I really enjoyed. I feel like I've kind of got this deck refined down to about a science. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely some times where you're going to brick, or you're going to, find yourself in some very complex situations. The deck is not easy to play whatsoever, but at the end of the day, it's all about value play and ensuring that you understand that, you're playing a completely different game than your opponent in terms of the inkwell. So, it's okay sometimes. I found myself in multiple situations where I'm having to whole new world and put my opponent up on cards, but you have to understand that you're the one who's in control of the game, especially once you get a fishbone up and you start playing towards your resources. It's really like playing solitaire and a lot of times. So that's just my couple of cents about the deck. If y'all would like to understand more, kind of hear more of my thoughts about the deck, please feel free to comment, make sure to subscribe, guys. We're going to be dropping plenty more videos like this and getting to kind of talk about, how our overall set champ experiences were. We got a couple more tournaments coming up here soon. 10K, another 10K down in Georgia, and then we're going to be looking to definitely get into some DLCs coming up here soon as they start getting announced, or as soon as we get some official announcements. But nevertheless, guys, thanks for watching, and signing out.